DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo. Joining me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Nick Felice. We are back. It's been an interesting few days out of town for me. We'll obviously touch on that, Nick. But, the finals for each series have rolled on, so we'll touch that. We have a slight rule change in college basketball we get to discuss a little bit, too, so... And one of the things I forgot to put in the notes that probably should have, but maybe the Knicks don't have a guy in mind right now. I don't know what is going on.
No, I don't know what's going on either. It's a good week. Weather's looking up.
Yeah.
U.S. Open's this weekend as well.
That's true. You did golf Monday, too, I saw.
Sunday. Yep.
I thought it was also Monday.
No.
My bad.
It was Matt.
Ah.
Other Felice.
A lot of 18 birdies.
They'll talk about on the Matt and Pat Russo podcast.
Where they will have a movie review.
Yeah. But, yeah, look, weather looking up. Good week coming up. Looking forward.
Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to.
No idea what the Knicks are doing, though.
Okay, we'll touch on that anyway, either way. A couple more sponsors, and thank you, saw DeSanto off the top. We also got Lil John and Barbie Orthodontics. Their outstanding orthodontic team share a common goal to ensure the overall wellness of each of their patients or their exceptional orthodontic care. You can check out Dr. Rod Littlejohn and Dr. Liz Barbie online at littlejohnortho.com. And GoNet Speed, the future connection is here, and it's fiber made for how we live and work today. GoNet Speed Fiber, faster and stronger than anything out there. You can check availability in your area as well as plans and pricing at GoNetSpeed.com and get ready for fast and reliable fiber internet straight to your home. So, let's start actually with the Stanley Cup final because, that series has actually been really freaking entertaining as we all kind of thought it was going to be.
Even the last game.
Yeah, even though it was a blowout. Game 2, though, I think is the epitome of it, right? I mean, we just kind of the stuff that Florida does to get under your skin a little bit and stuff like that. The officials kind of allowed, I think it got to the point that it kind of got to. We had 5v5 fight, obviously. It's just been a really awesome series. Now, it has shared a little bit of similarities with the NBA, with the finals there, and a worry that I maybe have a little bit more so, I think, with the NBA side than I do with the NHL side. Game 1 was such a high for, I think, the Warriors that I'm kind of worried, especially after, to me anyway, Game 3 of the last game that they played, just being such a letdown for them. Blown out, didn't play great. I mean, leaves a lot of question marks. Unless you're a Florida fan, you got to be feeling pretty confident, I think, a little bit now, heading into the possibility of going back-to-back champions for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I mean, like we said last week, these two teams have played each other in the Stanley Cup Finals just a season ago. So the rivalry's starting to build, and hence the fights in Game 3. But that's what people want to see. This is not just Stanley Cup playoff hockey. This is Stanley Cup final playoff hockey. So everything's more on the line in this series, and Florida, losing Game 2 to Edmonton, knew they had to come out in Game 3 and take the momentum back, in which they did, dominated. Now puts the pressure on Edmonton here in Game 4, which will take place tomorrow. But, and I'm intrigued to see how Edmonton comes out because you tend to forget, and someone had to remind me, it's on TV the other day. I forgot that Florida was up 3-0 in that series a year ago.
Yeah.
So we've seen them take momentum in this series, but Edmonton always finds a way to fight back. Right. Just so happened Florida pull out Game 7. They couldn't pull off complete the comeback, Edmonton, that is. So be intrigued to see how Edmonton responds in Game 4.
Yeah, kind of one of those deals where I think...
And who they play at goalie.
Well, there's an element of that now at this point, kind of leaking back in. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, we wouldn't see it until after the fact anyway, right? Part of me wonders if we get another McDavid speech of sort kind of going on here. I have a hard time believing, say they drop Game 4. I have a hard time really believing at that point that, could they get another game? Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's a done deal, but it's just one of those things where it's, I don't know, maybe kind of like that Knicks-Pacers series in a way where it's like, okay, the Knicks got it, won, but it's like, can you trust it? Probably not. Just one of those.
You think if Florida wins this next game, it's over?
Yeah, I do. And I think that kind of plays similarly. I'll save a little bit of that as well for OKC and Indiana, but just the way, especially if it was like a 4-2 game or something like that, Game 3, I don't think I feel that way. But like the Oilers looked pretty bad. I mean, the Panthers just went out there and they just played the way that they've been playing, and it paid off just obviously so well that like I just have a hard time believing, and especially at that point, right? That means Florida's got home ice to a degree. Now we've talked about that before, right? Like they don't necessarily, and technically that's true, but I look at it from the standpoint of, right, they already got the 3, they get that other one at home. That means they have a guaranteed one more home game should they lose that 5th game. Yeah. So I view it in that element of like whatever. So it's just one of those things where I think it's, like I said, unless the Oilers obviously win or something really out of character within a Panthers win, I just think it's a wrap if the Panthers win tomorrow night.
You're getting nervous, aren't you, that the Panthers are creating a better dynasty than the Lightning?
I don't know about better. It's probably on the same plane at the moment. It'd be a conversation. That's a question, I think, for next year at this time.
Even next week?
I don't know about necessarily yet.
Do you think they're similar, though, if they get it done?
At this point, yeah. I don't know if they're above what the Lightning did.
But. The Lightning they stuck around even after those 2 titles.
Yeah. I mean, they had another appearance and everything, so I just think it's an element. Hockey's so tough. We talk about it obviously a ton on here. I mean, it's the toughest sport to really go back to back, or even then, in this case, the way we're talking, like back to back to back, hypothetically, out there, just because I mean, you're beating yourself off all year, pretty much. I mean, it's crazy. Not to take anything away from the other sports, obviously, but I mean, it's the toughest of the bunch in that sense. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And
how do you feel that it affects the Lightning's legacy then? Clearly, you think that,
I think. Well, I wish the Lightning were playing.
How does this affect Chris Kreider's?
I'm a little disappointed with Lightning legacy. Yeah, he might get traded this offseason.
He needs to waive his no trade clause the way it sounds at this point.
But it should have been, like I said last week, Lightning should have been in the finals this year. Thunder and Lightning should have won the 2 championships.
True. Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
About the Lightning legacy.
Yeah. Yeah. Your New York team's got some interesting stuff going on, but we'll save the bulk of that here following the NBA Finals with Pacers and Oklahoma City.
As you wear your Oklahoma City colors.
Yeah, unintentionally, by the way.
Blue, orange, and white.
Yeah. Jeremy Grant played for a year.
That's true.
So, I guess more than a year technically. Either way. The first 2 games were really awesome in this series. Much like, though, the Stanley Cup playoff. The way Game 3 played out, I just don't know. I felt really confident in Indiana. I thought a lot of people were still kind of undervaluing and looking, under or over, however you want to describe, right, what they had been doing. I think maybe it was easy, especially, after the fact. You look at the way Game 1 kind of ended, obviously, and stuff like that, where it's like, here we go again with Indiana, for sure. And since then, it's just not been right. I know you're probably happy Halliburton hasn't looked really great outside of his one shining moment, but it's just one of those things where maybe Indiana I give a little bit better of a chance than, say, Edmonton, strictly for the fact of what we've just seen out of this playoff run. But at this point, I mean, Oklahoma City looks so good in Game 3.
Game 2.
My bad. Game 2. But
Game 3's tonight.
Yeah. I don't know. don't know if Indiana is going to fully. I mean, I guess the positive, it's in Indianapolis now, right? It goes back, it shifts back to their home floor. My main concern is you do like the number thing. They haven't won a game 3 yet this playoffs. I don't know if that's reading too deep.
Thunder?
No, the Pacers.
Really?
I just don't know if that's reading too much between the lines or anything, but like the stuff that like I saw in Indiana where it was like for sure they needed stuff to maybe quote unquote break right. Like Siakam needed to play good. He really hasn't yet.
It's early.
Right, it's early, but like I don't think, and this goes back to a little bit of that traditional home court advantage thing in this situation that I talked about with Florida. But like Oklahoma City gets game 3 tonight. I mean, they have the guaranteed home court the rest of the way, essentially. Now, again, goes against what I even said, but it's like it's 2-2 with 4 left. But I mean, you do one more in Indiana. You go back home. You have to go back, but then you got game 7 in the pocket back at home. Mm-hmm. And that joint was really loud those first 2 games. Even more so compared to those other playoff games. That joint was loud in OKC.
Wasn't it?
Whew.
Not to interrupt.
Yeah.
But wasn't it 2-3-2 back in the day?
Yes.
The NBA Finals?
Yeah.
It's back to...
They've been back to 2-1-2 for a little bit now.
Okay.
Oh, well, 2-2-1. 2-2-1-2.
Because the Ray Allen...
2-2-1-1. My bad.
The Ray Allen shot, that was 2-3-2.
Yeah.
Because I remember him hitting that shot in Miami, and then I think they won it in Miami.
Yeah.
But whoever wins tonight is in the driver's seat for the remainder of the series, in my opinion. Just because, like you said, Indiana's got essentially 2 more home games if they win tonight. Like, they potentially could have 2 more home games still with a 2-1 series lead. And so they got the home court again. And Indiana, after what they looked like in game 2 down the stretch there, they lose this game. They're down 2-1, obviously. And all the momentum was on Oklahoma City. And you think there's pressure on Indiana tonight. If they lose this game, the pressure on them in game 4, it's going to be a lot. Because if they lose both these games,
Yeah, no, you're good.
This
shit, we can say shit.
All right, put up all the swear words I can say. Then this shit is over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I just view it from the standpoint of like Indiana, like if and even if they do, like even if Indiana wins, but like Siakam just does not have a good game, or one of those other guys just don't step up, like they can't keep surviving that way. That's my main thing. I mean, Oklahoma City, I think the falling back grace for them is the fact that they're just going to be really good defensively no matter what, for the most part, right? Like that'll keep them in games even if they have a shooting night gone bad, like we've seen them have throughout the playoffs. Like, their defense will keep them in it. You can't really say that exactly with Indiana at this point. And I think the other part, too, that we didn't talk about on here that I feel like we probably should have. Oklahoma City's kind of the one team so far that Indiana has faced where their pace matches what they do. And I just view that as something that I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing they were prepared for it. But once it comes down to actual practice as opposed to preparation, that's where it gets a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like some of the stuff that we did talk about has come true. Some of the stuff hasn't yet. Kind of wondering what will, what won't at this point. Because like I said, just the way Game 2 played out, I don't know what Indiana can fully kind of plan for here in Game 3 back at home.
You think by the time we come back next Wednesday, at least both these series are over?
I think it's possible. I think it's more possible than what I thought last week. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does it actually happen that way? Probably not. Could be wrong, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we come back here next Wednesday and we're already going into summer stuff. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So it's part of it. I mean, that's even part of it right now where it's like we're at the point where, I mean, we talked about a lot so far, or last week, that like talking about like what we've seen so far, it's like, okay, yeah, like kind of a little bit what we thought, maybe not exactly, but like it's tough to really grab headlines from, like, especially like what we're talking about, especially off of 2 games, the most recent games being just blowouts the way that they were, where it's like what can you talk about?
What's next?
Yeah, like it's so obvious that like Edmonton and Indiana in these situations, right? They only have one place to go. Like
Edmonton wins tomorrow and Indiana wins tonight. Yeah. Two different series. They're back crazy series again.
Right. So
also, did you see the ratings for Game 1 of the NBA Finals?
No.
Not the greatest.
Not surprised. Yeah. I don't really want to do the ratings thing. I don't really.
Never were a ratings guy.
Well, I mean, it's just like my main thing with that is just like one, they don't take into account people who are streaming the game, right?
Or people watching it later.
And two, right? And two, we talked about it last week anyway. Like we are aware that this is 2 small markets. Like it's not going to probably draw the eyes that it would if it was New York and the Thunder, even. Like. It just is what it is.
Don't you dare bring up that Cardinals Tigers World Series.
Well, I'm right. Hey, speaking of New York, let's do this before we get to my stuff from Michigan.
New York.
We came in here last week when the Thibodeau firing happens, and we were both thinking that, like, okay, the Knicks clearly have somebody in mind.
Yeah. They don't.
Yeah, I have a lot more kind of questions, I feel like, kind of going into this. Coaching search. They've requested at least 3 interviews from NBA coaches, Udoka with the Rockets, Finch with the Timberwolves, and Kidd with the Mavs. All have been denied, which makes me think that I don't want to say they acted like
oh, damn.
I was thinking like recklessly or something like that, or just like in the moment, right? Not that I don't like we said last week. I don't know. I don't think anything was unjustified what they did. If I were to do it, I feel like I would have a little bit of a better plan in place than what they've got going right now, right? Like, am I off base by saying that?
No. Like last week when it happened, we're thinking, okay, they got a plan together. Clearly, it was more not really that. It was they wanted Thibodeau gone.
Yeah.
This was like. This is about getting rid of Thibodeau, and it goes back to all the rumors of, like, he wasn't going to put DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet in there. That came from above and stuff like that. And, yeah, clearly they just wanted him gone.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, just because he was so successful there, didn't see it coming because it's kind of surprising that a coach that makes the Eastern Conference Finals gets fired. But for a franchise that hasn't been there in 25 years.
Right.
But – yeah, it's more they want him gone than we don't really know who the next head coach is going to be. And it gets awkward when you ask other teams for their head coach. It's just not only have they done it once, they've done it like 3 or 4 times. Now they've asked for coaches that have jobs already. But I wouldn't rule out Kidd. I know the Mavericks have denied it, but if Kidd wants out, that still could potentially happen.
Right.
It's a mess there. What's going on in Dallas right now? You never know what's going to happen there next. That's who I really would like to see them get as a head coach. The Houston coach, I can't pronounce his name. I know what he is.
Udoka.
I would love him too, but I think he's comfortable in Houston right now.
Yeah.
Not that he won't be switching jobs anytime soon, but I think next year would definitely be the Rockets coach.
Yeah.
But I would love him too.
And look, I understand why the Knicks are going down that path. I mean, we even talked about it last week. The guy for this job should not be a first-time head coach. It's just not. I don't think it's in the cards to work out well.
No.
If that's the case. My main thing is, like we talked about last week, and I don't know if it's now playing. If this is deliberate leaks and stuff like that we've seen, across all sports, across all positions. I don't know if this is like them trying to draw down, say, the name we talked about last week, right? Like Mike Malone. Is this driving down his price or something? Or like I said, I don't know. I just feel like if it was Mike Malone, we would really have known by now.
Yeah.
That's my thing. And you had guys say that they were taking themselves out of the race anyway through the course of the past week since we talked. For the sake of like you and Matt and the other Knicks fans I know, I just hope this doesn't turn into kind of like, here we go again with the Knicks type thing, where it's like they just really did an impulse thing, despite it probably being the right move, right? But like, I hope they didn't do an impulse thing here where it's just going to make a situation worse.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look, they got a team that's pretty much ready to go in the grand scheme, right? They need to work on their bench a little bit and figure some stuff out defensively. But I don't think it's anything that's out here that's like,
Obviously.
but I don't think it's anything out there that's like crazy in terms of like it's not like they need to reset by any means. It's like you just need to plug in a couple better pieces and what you got and you're good.
You bring up the first-year head coach. It's not like that's the end of the world. If that's
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's very disappointing from what we had in Thibodeau, but the players are still the same. They're only going to get better. Who knows? Maybe that coach is the next great coach.
And I mean, hey, look, like, and that's the thing, right? Like, I don't think it is, but I also didn't think Joe Mazzulla was the right go for Boston when that whole thing shook out 2 years ago. And he was kind of proven wrong immediately. And do I still think he's the right guy for the job? I probably really not, to be fair. But like,
he's got a great team.
But like, they've made it work, right? And it's hard to argue against results when that's the case, right? My main thing is in situations like what you have with the Knicks, where it's like win now, much like the Boston deal, right? Where it's win now, everything's kind of set and ready to go. You just need a guy who's good enough to captain the ship. I just assume get the guy that has done it, right? Like I don't think you go out there. I don't think you could be reckless about this, right? You go out there and get a guy like James Borrego or something, somebody like that.
Yeah. Just
because he's coached before, and that's not a slight on Borrego. I'm just saying, like, I don't think you go out there and you get,
I've heard like
I don't even know who like a top or like assistant would be for someone.
I heard like Mike Brown.
Yeah, I mean, good coach. Don't know if I'd want. Don't know if he's the right guy for that.
It's been recycled. It's one of those like recycled coaches.
Right.
George Karl.
Right. Well, no. Well, that's a different era entirely. But no. I mean, I don't know if I'd be doing the recycle bin, but that same token, I don't know if you go after. I think a guy, maybe it's just a deal of timing, right? Like a guy like Kenny Atkinson would have probably been really great for the shop. I'm just using him as an example. Obviously, he's not leaving Cleveland, but a guy like him where it's like he's had one job. You know what you're doing. He's got the credentials.
Mm-hmm.
Go. Like, you know what I mean? Somebody like that. So I guess maybe I'm trying to think of somebody who kind of fits that bill. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Monty Williams.
You don't think he's in the recycle bin technically?
Yeah.
I mean, he's only really had technically 2 jobs, but like we're in that sense of like whatever. But like, hey, that's
David Blatt. There you go.
I need justice for David Blatt.
There's your example.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I die in the hill that the Cavs really screwed over Blatt.
Yeah, they did.
Just for
What about Dwayne Casey? No, he's been twice now, but
yeah. No. Jeff Van Gundy.
Bring him back.
Stan Van Gundy?
I just think of that Game of Zones episode with the Van Gundys.
Let me go here, form a wall. All right. The idol of Van Gundy. This one is specifically Van Gundy'd out. College basketball had a little bit of news. Going to be interesting. So in the final 2 minutes now of the games, they've gotten rid of going to the replay monitor, looking plays out of bounds. It's being replaced with one coach's challenge that can be used at any point during the game, though. Initial thoughts to that?
I had a question with it.
Sure. That's technically an initial thought.
Is it like the NBA where you win one and you get it back, or?
I don't think so.
Like how it started.
I could be wrong. I don't think so, though.
Like how the NBA started with just one challenge.
Correct.
That was it.
Yeah.
See, now I get where people complain about how that used to take forever, the final 2 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
I never really complained about it. The game's already short to begin with.
Yeah.
We're talking 2-hour game. It's not that long.
Mm.
I didn't mind if they got the call right in the final 2 minutes of a game. It did get a little overblown, with going to the monitor so many times. But I want the call to be right. And the challenge is, worth it. You should definitely save that to the end. There's no need to challenge a call in the first half. There's just no point to that. But, it's different. I mean, we've already seen college basketball. They announce to the crowd what the call is. They're leaning that way. Just don't ever touch my halves. That's all I care about. Do not touch my
What
two
about
halves.
what about more teams?
Yeah, let's get 150 teams in the tournament. Why not? Have March Madness go into February.
I'm
starting February.
My main thing is I'm kind of with you, but I will say this. There's an element where, especially like you said, it got to a point where really the flow of the games was just being so damn drastically affected by the way this was happening. And look, I'm with you. We've talked about this about different sports with replays and stuff like that. Just get the call right at the end of the day. That's really all I care about. I think it just got to a point where it's just so blatantly just like whatever that it was like, okay, we need to change this a little bit, figure out a way. I think this is a good compromise, if I'm being totally honest. I will be intrigued, and we'll kind of see. Obviously, we're June 11th right now, so we are, really, to be fair, about 4.5 months away from really seeing how this fully plays out when they have the first exhibition games and stuff like that. Do I think the players are going to be like the NBA guys where it's like, I don't think so. I also don't think the coaches are going to be necessarily eager to use them either. That was my first thought I had on this. I'm like sitting there going
Now,
do you like? I don't know maybe if it's just like for me being like a Syracuse fan, where it's like, do I see Adrian Autry out here just like really doing whatever? I think a lot of coaches probably aren't going to really be too eager initially to use it. We'll kind of see, I think, how those first couple games play out, and then we'll kind of see, I think, really where coaches tend to use it because, like I said, do you risk losing it for an end of the game scenario that we talk about how they've eliminated it, where you were used to kind of relying on the officials to make a call or go and initiate that, as opposed to now where like you need to be the one actually, going for that change.
Now, is this just Division I?
As far as I know.
So at Hobart, we're not challenging.
I don't think there's enough technology in some of those spots yet.
I'm not going to see anyone
No.
do the challenge signal at a Hobart game.
No. You will not be seeing Coach Thompson do that.
Like what?
Now we'll be seeing Coach Thompson do that.
Yeah, that'd be funny. But does Winthrop have enough? They have technology.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because those D1 schools, right? I mean, now there's 360. Is that 64 still this year and then 65 next year? I'm trying to remember when New Haven comes in. But either way.
Does New Haven have technology?
They will. They will. I went to a Division II school. You went to a Division III school. I think there's probably a lot of Division II schools that could do it. I think there's very few Division III schools that could do it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to disparage any of those institutions. It's just the way it's set up. And the school I'm going to use here for an example, again, I don't mean to disparage it in such a way, but RIT is one of those gyms that sticks out to me where for what the athletic department is there, or last time I knew anyway, that gym was behind in a lot of stuff. Kind of, I don't want to say a glorified high school gym, but that's what a lot of Division III gyms still kind of are in a lot of spots.
Cuca's very similar to it too.
Where I just don't know if they have I don't think they have the technology necessarily implemented at the moment to do that. Whereas I know a lot of Division II schools that can do that just because of the way they've had it now set up and stuff like that, and the way a lot of it's stuff. I mean, do they do, not to interrupt, but do they do media timeouts in Division III? Because last time I knew,
I don't think so.
Okay, but they do. But I know they do them in Division II.
And in Division III games, every one is streamed. It's just
It's essentially the high school technology, though.
it's so hard. Like an out of bounds play from the corner, you're not going to be able to see it from that angle.
Right. Yes. So I just think it's one of those things where maybe once technology in some of these spots gets a little bit better,
someday you'll see it in high school.
I mean, look, I'm being straight with you. Like, you have the replay stuff for Division I for football, right? And I think it's fully the same way now with FCS or 1AA, however you want to call it. But I know in Division II they just don't do it because they just look. I went to Gannon. Our field for sports outdoors is multi-use. You cannot. The sub they would have for baseball wouldn't be conducive for soccer, which wouldn't be conducive for football, which obviously wouldn't be conducive for lacrosse, and then for softball. So, like, obviously technology there is even behind on that element of it as well. So, like, it's one of those things where it's like, maybe once everything kind of gets a little bit more, I don't want to say, like, unified, but you get to a point where even it's a little bit better than we got right now, then maybe we'll see it. But I think it's just a Division I,
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so, hey.
Just don't touch my halves.
Yeah, I'm with you. Don't worry, I'm with you.
All right, good.
I think the last thing we really went to Michigan for the NASCAR Cup race this weekend.
And you have fun?
Did.
Better experience?
Better experience. Could only have really gone up in the grand scheme of
it. People don't remember, last year Paul went to Michigan and it rained. And
got 50 laps in.
You didn't even watch it, really.
No.
Finished the next day. You had to get going.
Yep. Missed a car flip. Yep. But, it was great. It was really awesome seeing, frankly, it was a packed house at that track. And it's tough because I think, I went with a couple more first-timers this year for the race. And I think it's tough when people hear NASCAR, right? I don't know if it's necessarily like they default to crashes, but I think they default a little bit to either the short track stuff that you see, so like your Bristol's, Martinsville type deal, or they default to Daytona, Talladega, where it's like 3 wide, And Michigan's not a track like that. I said to one of the guys who came, Michigan is a temple of speed. It's the easiest way to describe it because it's a 2-mile track. They don't really lift. It's a track where you can kind of go wide-ish open. And so things are going to inherently be a little bit more spread out than normal. You aren't going to see bumping and banging like you would, that type of deal. It's kind of I call it a showcase of what the sport is at its core, and it lived up to that. It was great. We haven't really seen a fuel mileage strategy race at Michigan and the way it played out like that in a while. It was awesome to see in person. It was a great race, great experience.
Bubba almost pulled it out.
Bubba had a great long run car. Just short runs were brutal for him, which is usually, I wouldn't say it's a switch, but it was just a deal where I know at the end, talking with one of my friends who was there with us, he goes like, man, we really need a caution for Bubba at the end there. I'm like, no, we did not. We did not. He would have restarted 4th. He probably would have finished the race in about 10th. Yeah. So we will take that for sure.
Had good gas, but not enough acceleration. That's what you're saying.
I guess, like distance-wise, sure. Yeah. But it was great. It was great. My only gripe, the smoke from the wildfires was crazy at certain points. Really? Yeah. So,
part of Michigan?
Got lucky. It's in the southeast portion of the state, so it wasn't actually bad there. I'll tell you what. When I was going into Cleveland on Friday, it was crazy, the smoke. So.
What's the town in Michigan?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
But it was great. We played a little golf too on Saturday. Nice. Was able to have some great pizza Friday night at a spot where it's going to be must eat now for me.
So what's next?
Yeah, I mean Watkins Glen's really the only thing officially on the schedule. I know Richmond's kind of tentative for me in person stuff. I don't know if Richmond's going to happen. Richmond's more of a pipe dream, but it's a possibility. So
let's get you to Vegas.
I'd love to, but
got to go to New Hampshire. Why have you not been to the New Hampshire one?
Pocono.
These ones are so close by.
Those are the main two at this point where it is surprising that
you've never been.
Yeah. We've even been to Dover. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been to Dover.
Yeah. So.
I'm glad you had fun.
Thanks. Glad that you had fun too.
Christopher Bell, how's he doing? He was hot at the beginning.
Not his best race.
No.
Yeah. We'll see. Ebbs and flows, right? Just like any other sport, ebbs and flows.
Has he won since he won 3 in a row there?
No.
Damn.
Like I said, it's like every other sport. Just ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows.
Bubba's in a good spot to make the playoffs this year, though.
Yep. Would be a lot better with a win, though.
Did he make top 12 last year?
No.
16, though. He made the playoffs.
No.
He didn't make the playoffs?
He got Harrison Burton winning at Daytona knocked him out.
He ever make the top 12?
Yes, 2 years ago.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about then. Yeah, I thought so.
I got you, big dog.
Yeah, he's a good driver.
I got you, big dog. All right. That's all I got for the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. That's all I have, too.
Oh, okay. No shout-outs? Who are you shouting out?
Shout out you and Jim Senecrofi.
Oh, okay.
7 years ago tomorrow, we started this podcast.
Oh, that's true, yes.
7-year anniversary. Just figured it out this week. And, yeah, shout out to you guys. Without us three, it wouldn't be possible.
It's true. There's no fresh takes without Russo and Felice.
Yeah, so, yeah,
And
7
Jim,
years.
Jim picking it up, yeah.
Even though it feels longer.
It does. It does. Thank you to 2020.
Yeah. I feel like we've been doing this for at least 10 years. But
It feels that way sometimes. I know that.
we're at 7. 2018, June 12th, 2018 was the first one. In the studio over there. So, but here we are, 2025.
Ye old spot.
Maybe we'll get a rap battle topic.
No, we're good. We're good on that front. So,
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, back at it again next Wednesday. We really appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. We'll talk next week.